Hello, my beautiful guys and dolls, and welcome to an episode of Before the Curtain. I'm your host, Abbie Campbell, and we are here to discover the passion behind the performance. Artists of all backgrounds will share their stories about what it takes to create, survive, and thrive in the competitive world of entertainment. Finding inspiration in their journeys, we aim to bring you everything that happens before the curtain. So I just need to make one clarification before we get into today's guest. I mentioned the Las Vegas Super Bowl, and actually that was inaccurate. It was actually Super Bowl 54 that was played in Miami, Florida. Okay, so it is Super Bowl 54, not Super Bowl Las Vegas. My apologies. Let's get into the episode. My friends, do we have an extraordinary artist and human with us today? She's an aerial acrobat, dancer, choreographer, coach, and in my personal experience, a phenomenal educator. She has worked with some of the top companies in our industry, including Ringling Bros, Dragon, Apple TV, and has 10 years of experience performing with Cirque du Soleil. Her choreography credits for dance, aerial, and acrobatics are also very vast. RuPaul's Drag Race for Miss Vanjie and Gorgeous, Ringling Bros and Barnum and Bailey, where she was also associate director, and Eurovision Song Contest just this year in 2026. She's worked with countless legendaries in the entertainment world like Madonna, Beyonce, Miley Cyrus, Mark Anthony, Dita Von Teese, and J-Lo. She actually worked very closely with J-Lo, being her personal pole coach and choreographer for the movie Hustlers and the Las Vegas Super Bowl. She continues to teach dance and acrobatics all around the world and is about to go to Malta for the Mediterranean Film Festival Golden Bee Awards as the acrobatic choreographer. Say that 5 times fast. And to top it all off, she has an awesome husband, 3 dogs, and a cat.
Most important.
Exactly. Pouring her passion and knowledge into everything she does, my guys and dolls, please help me welcome to the mic the icon herself, Johanna Sapakie.
Hi.
Well, welcome.
That's overwhelming and it makes me uncomfortable.
But you're so cool.
Oh, I don't feel cool.
So a question came to mind when I first asked you to be on the podcast.
Okay.
Were you a dancer first or acrobat aerialist first?
Dancer forever first.
Okay.
I didn't actually, so I was shocking for anybody that's met me before, but I was a small child with very exuberant energy, and my parents were like, this kid needs an activity. So they tried everything. Like I did mommy and me's gymnastics when I was 4, and these are the things, coaches out there, that stay with you your whole life. I remember the 15-year-old park and rec chick that was running the gymnastics camp that I went to in the summer as a 4-year-old made fun of me when I was trying to tumble. I am sure very innocently, but I remember being really upset by it, and that was it. Gymnastics done until I was an adult. Yeah. And then they found dance, and I was instantly in love with it. And so then I played every sport, I did every activity, but dance was the only thing I did consistently from 4 years old all the way till yesterday. And then I didn't really start tumbling again until I moved out to LA and became a commercial dancer, and I needed special skills. And at the time, special skills meant tumbling. There wasn't really a lot of other ones. Although my friend has loud clapping on his resume, Andre Daneka has loud clapping as a special skill. And you're like, that's crazy. And then he does it and you're like, yeah, that was the loudest clap I've ever heard. It was amazing. So yeah, put everything you can do on your resume. But yeah, so I started tumbling as an adult, and then I had an accident. And when I had an accident and I couldn't put strong impact on my body anymore, I started doing aerial acrobatics and then fell in love with that. That segued to pole, blah, blah. Here we are.
And where did you grow up? Because you said you moved to LA.
Uh-huh. I grew up in Minnesota. I'm a Midwestern girl. And then I moved out to LA when I was 18, the minute I could.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just excited to pursue dance?
Yeah. I feel like I knew I wanted to be a dancer from the time I was very small, but in my house, you went to college, which that's a great path for anybody who wants to take it. It wasn't for me at the time. So I knew that I wanted to go into commercial dance right away after high school. And so it was either LA or New York. And I was coming from a really cold climate. So I was like, I'd rather be warm. So I went to LA first. And I also thought that LA was a younger market in general. So I was like, okay, if I'm going to do them both, let me do LA first, because I feel like I have more time. Plus I can't sing to go to New York. So I did LA first and then just kind of never looked back.
And what brought you to Vegas?
Working for Cirque. So I had been in LA working as a commercial dancer for over a decade and had gotten to the point where I was like exclusively living out of a suitcase. Like I had a really expensive apartment that I was never in, like 1 or 2 days a month, maybe. And I was just traveling and living out of my suitcase constantly. I called it affectionately the Johanna World Tour. And after like 3 or 4 years of just constant traveling, I was getting to the point where I was noticing that I was going really cool places and wasn't excited about it because I was going to get on a plane again. I was going to be in a hotel again. And so I'm going to places like Costa Rica and Mexico City and like these international places I'd never been before. And I was bummed about it. So I was like, I think it's time to get off the road for a second and be somewhere where I can be doing what I want to do, but have a little bit more of a permanent situation. I had goals. I wanted to buy a house. I wanted to have a relationship. I wanted to have more of like a full life. And I was kidding myself that I was going to be able to do that living out of a suitcase. I'm like, I can't meet anybody. No kidding. If they're not in the hotel lobby, like they're not going to be there. So I auditioned for Cirque du Soleil in Los Angeles, and then booked that job, and that's what brought me to Vegas. And I had firmly said, like, Vegas for a year, that's plenty. I think it's been 16 years, and we're still here. So there you go. I know, I'm hilarious. Strap in.
What was the first show with Cirque du Soleil?
I did a show called Viva Elvis, which was at the Aria Hotel. It was the first show at Aria when Aria very first opened. And so we put that show together. We were actually rehearsing the show before the hotel even opened. So we were rehearsing at different hotels on different stages in different training rooms, putting that show together. And then we opened at Aria. I did that show for 5 years. I left about a year before that show closed and said I'd never go back to Cirque ever again. Went back to doing commercial stuff. And then a year later, the guy who was directing the next Cirque show that I did, I had worked on a reality TV show with. And he knew that I kind of had the combination of skill sets that they needed for this next show. And so he called me up and said, hey, do you want to do this? And I said no for a long time. And then after a lot of conversation and negotiations, I said yes. And then I did my second Cirque show, which was Michael Jackson 1. Did that for 5 years, which seems to be my limit for the same show. And then bounced pre-COVID.
This is a very specific question.
Yes.
But in the moment that you were traveling, doing all this, and then you were kind of like, okay, maybe I need to change it up, and you kind of said you didn't even want to go, I guess?
Yeah.
Was there like a phase where you were trying to convince yourself, like, no, I should be grateful for this, and I should be like, and kind of kept yourself there? I think if I was more well-adjusted as a human at the time, I probably would have thought about it that way, but I was not that elevated as a human yet. Mm-hmm. Still working on it, as we all are, but I was so like forward motion and saying yes to everything and doing everything and going everywhere and trying to fit every possible project into the tiniest amount of time. And I was so focused on my career moving forward that I didn't feel the progression moving towards, I don't want to really be traveling like this anymore. I think I probably could have noticed it sooner, because you don't want to be ungrateful for the opportunities that you've like asked the universe for, and then here they are, right? Mm-hmm. And so then when I remember clearly it was a job in Costa Rica, and I remember being like so annoyed that I was packing my suitcase. And I had this moment that I'm like, I can't believe I'm annoyed that I'm going to Costa Rica. What's wrong with me? And then it's not what's wrong with me, but it's like, let's evaluate where my life is. Is this what I want? It's what I wanted for 10 years, but now here we are 10 years later. Is it still what I want? It's okay for it to change or evolve. And if it's not what I want, then what do I want? Mm-hmm. You know, and I think it's because I found myself like complaining about a lot of other aspects of my life that I wasn't putting time and energy into, but I was complaining that they weren't like manifesting in the way I wanted. But right, because I was putting no priority there. I was putting all of my priority into my career, so that was going great. But then I couldn't get anything else going in my personal life or in my mental health life or any of that. Like that was all pushed to the side because it was like career. And you do get nervous that if you're not that forward focused on your career, that somehow like it'll stop and never come back.
And if you don't keep pushing forward, if you say no even one time, then like, that's it, like kicked out. So you're just doing everything. But I think it was more like a recognition of not like, am I allowed to change my mind about what I want? But that's what it was. I just wasn't recognizing it that way. I felt like if I changed my mind about what I was doing or what I wanted or how my career was manifesting, that I was somehow admitting that like I didn't want to do it anymore or da-da-da. Not that it was just changing shape or changing form or that I had other priorities in my life, but it was like, when I decided to become a dancer, small digression, when I decided to become a dancer, that was not a happy decision for my family. That was like, oh my gosh, how could you, blah, blah, blah. So it was like, okay, if I somehow say no to these jobs that are coming my way, am I somehow now admitting this was the wrong choice for me? Am I now saying they were right and I was wrong? Like, whoa, therapy, right? I should go talk to somebody. But you know what I'm saying? Like, are you admitting that you made the wrong decision? No, you're still doing this career. This career takes a million different shapes and a million different forms, and you can do it however it suits you. But at the time, because I was in the commercial LA world where everybody was doing tours and videos and movies and tours and videos and movies, if I wasn't doing that, am I failing at this job? And if I choose to not do it, even though it's being presented to me, like, do I even deserve to be doing it? If it's presented to me and I say no to it, like, how could I? And so I like found the middle ground of auditioning for a show that kept me in one place. So I was like, okay, that counts, right? Yeah, dude, it counts. Counts however you want it to count. Like, who am I trying to satisfy? All of that. So I recognized none of that at the time. But in retrospect, that's what was going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I asked because I feel like every performer goes through that at some point.
Yeah.
Whether it's multiple times, whether it's early on, whether it's, after, 20 years doing the same thing. There's always that. It's okay for it to transform. And it's okay for it to be an abstract painting.
Yeah.
And not a portrait. And
Absolutely.
That's okay.
Absolutely. And this idea that like, okay, if I want to get off the road for a while, if I want to be sit down, if I want to be doing something in one spot, and then later I decide I want to travel again, okay. It's not like you have to pick something and then that's it. You've committed for life. You can change anytime, any day, any way you want. That your career is whatever you make of it because we're 1099 independent contractors. So we're not beholden to anyone but ourselves, right? There's not a method to this career path, which is what makes it super exciting because you can do it any way you want to do it. Are you paying your bills? Okay, great. You're doing it. Who cares? You're doing it.
Preach.
Like, be morally and ethically a good person. But, like you're doing it. Are you making a living? You're doing it. Who cares if it's somebody else's version of what this career looks like? However, that's terrifying because there's no clear path to follow, right? Like, so how do you know if you're doing it right? I don't know. What's right? Are you paying your bills? Are you a good human? Okay, it's right.
Amen. Mic drop. Episode end right there. That was great.
But you know what I mean? Like you get into if you go to New York, then you feel like if you're not doing Broadway, you're not doing a contemporary company, you're not doing it right. If you go to LA and you're not booking music videos or tours, you're not doing it right. But whatever, you know what I mean? Like maybe that's not your path. Are you paying your bills? Are you doing something in the entertainment business that's keeping you connected to what your intention was to begin with, or what's in your heart, or what you love today, or whatever your meter is, whether that's teaching dance or judging or teaching at conventions or touring with artists or movies or whatever it is. Maybe you're just dancing in your living room and you've decided to become, like a dog walker. Good for you. Good for you. You know what I mean? Like we just are so focused on like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I need 1,000 not 1,000, that's not enough. 100,000 TikTok views on this one TikTok. 1,000. That's how much I'm not on TikTok. People are like, that's basic. But you know what I mean? Like if I don't have this amount of views on this video that I'm posting, I'm a failure. Yeah, okay.
No, yes, absolutely. Because we can get in our heads a lot, and it's like, well, we're all in the same boat, and we're all thinking the same thing, and we don't realize that we're all going almost the same place, right? Like we're all in this industry, we're all doing it,
right?
We should see that,
and like help each other out a little bit more in like looking at each other and recognizing like, hey, you're doing a good job. Like, look at you. You went through TAPS. Here you are doing a podcast. It's working out good. Good job. You know what I mean? Like, that wasn't my path because TAPS wasn't a thing when I was coming up. I wish it was because that program's the best. But like, I didn't take that path. I'm doing different things. Good job.
Yeah.
You know, like there is no specific. I was watching this documentary the other day about Olympic athletes and how like their goal is the Olympics. And so then once they've gotten to the Olympics and gotten to the other side of it, then what happens next to their mental health? Because there is such a very specific end game. And what's weird about us as entertainers is not necessarily, like some of us have specific goals of artists we want to work for, or shows we want to do, what have you, but that's not the end game. Like, what is the end game? And it can change, I guess, but it's not a gold medal because that doesn't really exist for us. So because we don't have this definitive thing that like we're working to achieve this, and then once we've done it, good job us. You know, there's this ongoing and never-ending quest for fill in the blank. You know, it's hard to define those things for yourself. You know, it's hard to define where you're going. Like, where is that end goal? Is there an end goal? I don't know. These are all good questions. Yeah. Yeah.
And every day we try to clarify it a little bit more, I guess, or discover it in new and exciting ways.
Yeah, or at least like check in with ourselves and be like, am I even asking myself these questions? Or like when I was in LA and traveling so much, I wasn't stopping to ask any questions of myself. I was just doing. And like I didn't have an opportunity to stop and look around and be like, is this still what I want? It was 10 years ago. I'm a different human now than I was then. Is it still what I want? Am I happy?
Okay, huge topic switch.
Okay.
At what point did you start choreographing like aerial acrobat and acrobatics?
What was the first aerial acrobatics that I choreographed? This is interesting because, so there's this, I will answer your question. There's this interesting kind of movement going on with the Choreographers Guild right now, which I'm a part of, that is working to solidify specialty artists, including gymnasts and acrobats and breakdancers and trickers and people who do a skill set that, generally speaking, when they get hired, they're the specialist on the job, meaning probably, not always, but probably the choreographer on the job doesn't have that skill set. They're getting hired to come in to do something specialized. And so more often than not, the choreographer has maybe like an idea or a structure and then says, okay, you've got this many 8 counts or this many seconds, fill it. So we've had a lot of conversations about, well, that's choreography. They're asking you to choreograph, right? And so like, where's the credit? Where's the accountability? Where's the name recognition for the fact that you were brought in as a specialist because you have not just a skill set, but the ability to create that skill set? So where's that piece of the puzzle? So that being said, the first time I was labeled acrobatic or aerial choreographer was on Hustlers, but I had probably been doing it for like a decade before that. Because anytime I had gotten hired as an aerial acrobat, nobody else on that job knew how to do aerial acrobatics. So inherently, I'm creating my own stuff or creating it for myself and whoever's doing it with me because I have a dance background. So I'm putting it together. And technically that's choreography.
Yeah.
But I wasn't labeled as a choreographer until many, many, many years later when I had enough credibility for myself to fight for like a name credit, and this is what you have to call it when it's on the crawl of the film. You know what I'm saying? So like, I guess the answer is, I don't know, forever ago. The first time I got an aerial acrobatic job, inherently I was choreographing that job. But not in the eyes of the industry on my IMDb until Hustlers. Does that make sense? Kind of, right?
To me, it's a no-brainer. Like, wouldn't you be part of this? Like, wouldn't you be part choreographer if
but
that's
with
like
that
your section?
Usually comes a financial gain, and so
like because your title as a choreographer, you have to be paid
that you're recognizing that you've provided something and you should get monetary compensation for it. So often that's not a piece of the puzzle, because if they call you a dancer like every other dancer, even a specialty dancer, then you're paid like everybody else. There's a SAG rate for that. They follow the union rules, probably, hopefully. But there's no additional that needs to come into that, because your label, and the unions have to quantify and qualify certain things in order to like legally keep things fair, right? They have to label things. And so inherently with that, you're going to gain a lot and then you're going to lose some things, because we have to quantify things somehow. Yeah. So yes, and that's part of the meeting that we had with the Choreographers Guild was, to those of us that have been doing it, it's super obvious. But I also get, because I've been on enough production teams, I do get the perspective of, okay, but I had the vision as the director choreographer. I told you what I wanted, and you came in and created the movement, which has been happening since the beginning of time. Yeah. Like old school MGM choreographers were like, do a little this and a little bit of that and some of this. Yeah. And then the dancer created those steps. I'm sure there's plenty of, I hate saying just dancers because I hate the word just, but dancers who were not hired for a specific skill set, but were hired for their ability to be a variety, multifunctional dancer that have created steps for that choreographer on the spot, right? We've all done it. Yeah. They're not getting choreography credit, right? That would be a Pandora's box of every dancer on every job ever is a choreographer, except for maybe like Ruckettes. Right. You know what I'm saying? Or like Swan Lake, where it's been set since the beginning of time. Right. But all of us have been on jobs where we've, been in workshops or skeleton crews where we're all collaborating. So who's the choreographer? The person that's getting hired and paid as the choreographer. But then when specialty skills come into play, it gets trickier, because the choreographer in general inherently has dance knowledge. Probably, most likely, fingers crossed. I hope so. You would think. But sometimes they really don't have knowledge on this special skill set. Yeah. And the breakers in the meeting were very vocal on like, I've never been on a job other than one or two where they didn't just come in and say, okay, and then we're going to create a circle and you'll go. And then the breaker does whatever. You know what I mean? And they're like, that's me. I had to do the same thing every time because we're shooting this on camera, so it's got to be editable. So I'm choreographing the thing I'm doing because I'm repeating it consistently. Yeah. But it wasn't addressed as such, because then I'd be the specialty choreographer. Okay. Which on paper means you have to pay me to be the specialty choreographer, which is what the guild is working on.
Got it.
Yes.
And so is this something that you think that the industry just doesn't understand about that? Or do you think it's like they don't want to do it because they're trying not to pay?
Yeah. Yes to both. Okay. Like there are some people who legitimately don't understand it. Like they think movement is movement. And part of it too is like, you're so excited and happy to be there. Yeah. You'd say yes anyways, credit or no credit. I just want to be here doing this because I'm going to be featured as a solo specialty something doing this thing. I'm going to get so much from it other than this credit or that credit, right? Like there is benefit to doing these jobs as a specialty artist, which is why people say yes, right? Absolutely. And there is a whole school of thought that like, dancers are dancers are dancers, a dime a dozen, everybody's the same, hire the ones you want, whatever, And then obviously those of us in the business recognize that that's not correct, that we're all very different humans with different strengths and weaknesses. And then there's the group of people, especially when you're fighting for the credits, that you recognize very clearly are like, we can't do that because then XYZ. And if we do it for you, then we're going to have to do it every time after this and then money. And so that's why we're trying to solidify it in a union perspective where it's written down and you can see the rules before you start. And if you don't want it, then you can't include that specialty person, because once you do, you're inherently now asking them to choreograph something or bring on a specialty choreographer, which is a role. But then double-sided coin, right? Because we don't want to not get hired because that's now a financial ramification for the project, right? So I want you to hire me. I want to do this project. So if you're not going to hire me because you don't want to pay me to do this highlighted role, well, would I rather do it and not get highlighted? Right. To at least still be doing it and making some money? Yeah. Tricky.
When you first started talking about it, I thought it's the same thing, though, as the director making sure they have a DP. Because, yeah, sure, it is your vision, but then you hire somebody else to capture it.
To be able to actually execute what your
But you still give the DP credit.
I would
right?
hope so.
Right? Like you always see director of photography, you know,
Yes.
like
Sure.
on it. So what's really the difference? Even though it's your vision, you're still hiring somebody to capture it for you. You're still hiring the gaffer to make sure the lighting is exactly how you want it. You know? That's what my brain went to in like analogy world.
I think
but I guess because
it
they're
makes
just so,
sense.
they're just so maybe not very knowledgeable.
Well, and I think for those of us too that again are inside of it,
yeah,
clear as day.
yeah,
of course.
Yeah.
But I also, I mean, and we talk about this all the time on every job. I'm sure everybody does at this point, but like everybody's so much more willing to, it seems like everybody's so much more willing to spend money on stuff than on people. And this is a people fee, not a stuff fee.
Mm-hmm.
So like, when they're budgeting things and they're looking at budget, they have this amount of budget for people.
Mm-hmm.
So how are they going to divvy up that budget? And if you're giving somebody higher level credit that inherently comes with a little bit more dollars, then do you have to lose a couple numbers of other people that you needed to be on camera to fill whatever vision you needed?
Mm-hmm.
Can you afford that?
Mm-hmm.
If you can't, what do you do?
Mm-hmm.
Because you want that skill set. You can't pay for the specialty component of it, but you want to include it in your vision. If you hire dancers with that skill set, can you just inherently ask them to help you out with that moment? You can, and most do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then they'll spend like, you know, millions of dollars on like a really pretty curtain. And you're like, huh, I thought you had no money. That's a really shiny curtain. I love your curtain. Thank you. Do we get any snacks today? Like, you know what I mean?
When's
No, like,
Crafty come by?
Right. I was just wondering if Crafty is just red vines again, or like, do we get a meal today? You know, but you know what I mean? It's like, there's never any money. There's never any money. And then they'll spend money on something that you're like, was that the important spot to put your funding? And to somebody that made the decision, yes. The answer was yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's plenty of people that will probably do whatever that thing is you need with no credit or for less money. But that curtain costs what that curtain costs. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So they're trying to make decisions based on how to allocate the funds, so on and so forth. And it is being on the production side of things so much now, it's always that budget game to play. Yeah. But coming from the performer and the choreographer side of things, like you just fight so hard for the people. Yeah. Like it's gotta, like your curtain's great, but if nobody's standing in front of it doing cool things, or if it opens to a blank stage with no people on it, it better be a good curtain.
There's a cheaper one on Amazon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just AI that curtain, baby. Like
out of all the things.
Yes. So I don't know. Like it's this push and pull of what's important and how do we allocate and da-da-da. But fundamentally being able to fight for the people who provide the individual skill sets that make that vision come to life always feels important. And I think the original question was, when did I start choreographing aerial acrobatics? Wouldn't it be cute if I was like July 2nd, 2004? No, but you know what I mean? Like, I think I've always, ever since I started doing the skill set, inherently I was choreographing it, because as a dancer, you're immediately trying to figure out how to pull more movement capacity into the skills you're learning. And then you get hired to do it, and they're like, oh, that was great. Yeah, do it like this over here, and da-da-da-da. And so now technically they're the choreographer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
I loved that, though.
Yeah.
This is great. No, this is because I didn't know about all of this. I know that I've seen a few things about the Choreographers Guild come up lately, but
yes,
I'm not in it. So I love hearing it from your perspective and where we're at right now, which is what it sounds like, which is great.
And we're like, there's the specialty component is very, very new, but it's on the table because it does feel like it's becoming inherently more prominent in a lot of different pieces of production. Mm-hmm. So not letting it go too long before it gets addressed, because the Choreographers Guild is doing such good work and moving forward and trying to really solidify people's value on paper, which is where it needs to be. I think now trying to diversify, well, choreography is like the blanket term, but there's so many different types of choreography. Let's make sure we're being clear about who's doing what. And then the other side of the coin is, I've worked jobs where for sure, 100%, I can think of one clearly in my mind where I absolutely choreographed that job. Like, I had the people at the venue by myself putting it together, and I didn't get any credit for it. And she was very clear with me. the choreographer, was very clear with me that like, that's not this job. If you want to do it, you guys are going to put this together, but you're not getting a choreography credit on this because it's under my umbrella. And she's lovely and I love working with her and I've worked with her many times, but it's like she was very clear about the parameters heading in, and then you say yes or no based on how you feel about those parameters, right? Like there was no confusion about it for me. I understood. But then you also get to the point where you're like, well, if somebody else puts this together, it's still my body and my face on that camera doing it, and I want it to look really good. So am I going to let somebody who doesn't have the skill set put this together, or she's asked me to put it together and I know what I'm doing and it's my body up there, so I'm going to go ahead and make it look nice. It's such a balancing act.
And then that leads into the idea of like everybody takes jobs for different reasons.
Totally.
You know, whereas like, oh gosh, I could go on and on about this forever. We probably both could. But like where, you know, if you get offered a job that's maybe not so much money, but you've always wanted to have that experience, okay, do we take it so that we can get that experience or work with that choreographer or whoever it is, you know, to say that we did it? Or do we say no because we also believe in getting paid for the quality of work that we get?
Totally.
Oh my gosh. It's so difficult.
It's super tricky because you don't want to undercut people. You don't want to undercut the industry. You don't want to devalue what you've worked so long and hard for. And there are benefits to doing certain jobs that are not financial. There are human connections to be made. There's credit to be gotten. There's footage that will lead to the next job. And so you do have to weigh it and make the right decision for yourself, and hopefully put the rest of the industry as like a secondary in your mind as well, because you don't want to do something that's just good for you but is going to hurt you later because you didn't stand up for something that is important, but very tricky, because I totally agree that I have done a job for less money than I should have gotten. But the other side to that was, you have to credit me as this on this job. My name has to appear as this because I need to start getting it on paper in a credit line. This was me. So I'll do it for this. But that part has to happen because from a financial perspective, I'll get more financial gain from it having that title than I will on this one job working for this amount of money.
Right.
So that was the trade-off. But also then there are entertainers, artists, producers, directors in the industry that know that working with them is as big of a asset as the financial part. And so then knowing that, are they offering you less, knowing like you working with me is going to be a big enough deal for you?
Yeah.
Right? Like all I can really hope is that when I hopefully have opportunities to be on that side of things and I have the opportunity to offer people jobs, that I make a better choice. You know what I mean? That like you're not working for me for free. Like ever. I've never done a spec job, a skeleton crew, anything where I've just been like, want to come by, guys? You know what I mean? Like, and I know it's hard because we don't have a ton of funding sometimes to put together our passion projects, but like, you're not working a job for me for free. This is your time, your effort, your money. I cannot do it without you. Like, if I can't afford to pay you something, anything, we're not doing this because I don't want to abuse your time and energy. But I did plenty of them for free when I was 18, 19, 20. Because I needed to make connections and I needed to get myself out there and I needed footage and I did a ton of stuff for free. Live and learn, baby.
Okay, before we get too deep into that Pandora's box,
yeah, right.
Because I know it could just go on forever.
Yes.
How did you end up getting connected into working with JLo so closely?
Okay.
If I can ask.
You can.
Okay.
Okay. I had worked with her quite a few times before I worked with her in an acrobatic capacity. So there's a woman named Liz Imperio who I was in her dance company. I assisted her for many, many years. I worked with her a lot. We've done like every Telemundo and Univision job ever. Yo hablo. And I had worked with Jennifer a few times via Liz, who has done tours for her and live shows for her and award shows for her. And even the reality TV show that I worked on before my second Cirque show was with Jennifer and Liz. So I'd worked with her in a dance capacity quite a few times first. And then when I started doing circus acrobatics and I started working with Tab and Napoleon, Nappy Tabs, worked on the first Cirque show that I did. So I'd worked with them on that. They knew that I had the acrobatic capacity and the dance capacity to do what was needed for Hustlers. Plus, I'd worked on camera and I knew how to choreograph and I knew how to work with demanding personalities. And so Tabitha called me and said, hey, she's going to do pole in this movie. She needs somebody who can do all of these different things. You want to do it? Mm-hmm. So she just called me and I said, yes, please. Oh. And I was like, and I worked with her before. She won't remember, but I worked with her before. And so, yeah, I know what that means and what's going to be required there in order to kind of make this happen. And we talked about the job and the time frame of it all and what needed to be accomplished. And they sent me the script. And so then I worked with her in an acrobatic capacity for Hustlers. And then I went off to do another job and Super Bowl came up during that job. And she had decided that she wanted to do pole in Super Bowl because she'd just come off Hustlers. And so they called me and they're like, she's going to do pole in Super Bowl. So we need you to do this. And I was like, yeah. Like I thought after Hustlers, she was never going to touch pole again, ever, like Dunzo. Like she worked really hard at it, but it's difficult. And if you're not working on a specific project for it, there are other things to focus on. So then when she was like, yeah, I want to do this for Super Bowl, she didn't want to have to build a different rapport with a new person. It was like, let's bring in the person that already knows all the things I can do. Let's just go from there. It'll shorten the process. And I wasn't about to say no to choreographing for the Super Bowl and putting pole on that wide of a international kind of template and stage. So we figured out how to make that work.
Love that.
And then there we were. Yeah.
Super random question, but it popped into my head and now I'm really curious.
Okay.
Is there a way you have to kind of change choreography for pole for film and TV rather than stage?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Well, I would qualify it in two ways. So stage versus camera for any movement is different, right? Like if I'm choreographing something for a live audience, I have the perspective of them being able to see everything at once, right? If I'm choreographing it for camera, I have to know what the camera sees and why it sees it and how the camera is moving and how we're telling the story through the movement. So in that capacity, the approach is super different. Right? Like when I was choreographing for the movie, we literally started with the script. We read the script. We talked about her character. We talked about the scene. What's the whole point of the scene? Why are we even watching her do pole? We could have just told the audience she does pole. Why do we need to see her do this whole thing? What's the point? And then approached it from that perspective. Like, what are the moves we want her to do to be able to convey who her character is? And like, that's how we built it. It wasn't make up hot moves. It was, what are the moves that make her character understood in this first scene? For stage, it's very much like the total perspective, what's happening in the full visual, and how does pole either get featured or complement or elevate, or how does the total vision need to come together with this element? So that, but then the other side of that is, what is the stage and what is the show? So that being said, how adult are we? How family friendly are we? And that's not exclusive to stage versus camera, because obviously Hustlers was not family friendly and Super Bowl was, both on camera. Dita Von Teese is not family friendly, but then Viva Elvis was. So both of them are the same platform, but very different iterations of what that art form can be. And so with that, it's just understanding, like, what is this project? What is this market? Where are our boundaries that we can or cannot cross? And usually when I get hired for a pole choreography project, that's one of the first questions I ask is like, where is our boundary with pole? Because it can go from exotic and from club work all the way to like contemporary pole dance with bare feet. And I'm just like rolling around and making moves, right? And then there's something now called pole sport, which is like super highly acrobatic. It's the one that's like vying to be an Olympic sport. And it's like super trick heavy, the highest, craziest acrobatics you can do, but very light on like the dance component or the musicality component per se, in a very general terminology. Just don't come for me, pole sport people. But you know what I'm saying? Like they have different focuses, right? Exotic versus contemporary versus sport versus, they have different pluses or minuses depending on what you want to do for your art form. So that's always it too, is like when you get hired for a pole job, where's our boundary? Because inherently with a pole, there's a connotation. So what do we need to be careful of? Do we need to be careful? Who's going to watch this? Who is our audience? So that we have that in our minds when we're putting it together. So we're very cognizant of being, I guess, respectful to whatever that end game is. Yeah.
I have 2 questions. One, just for clarification.
Yeah.
Would pole just be your main discipline as an aerialist?
No.
Okay.
I think it'd be the thing that people know me for the most at this point, because I've been hired for more pole jobs than other jobs recently. But I like too many things to have a solo discipline, which is also very controversial because people say you have to specialize, but I disagree. I think you do whatever makes your heart happy. But no, like I do aerial tissue, which is silks, which is the fabric. I do lyra, which is the hoop. I do flying pole. I do straps. I do hammock. I have a apparatus called a double helix. I'll do anything in the air, double harness, whatever. I just love being in the air in general. So I don't say that I have like a specific discipline that's my focus. I want to be well-versed enough in the air and aware enough of my abilities and how my body moves to be able to do what's needed up there. What's the apparatus that's going to work out for this project? You know what I mean? Like, and every project, the one we're about to do in Malta, the technical aspects of the show only really allow for a couple different choices in the air. So I want to be able to be well-versed enough and versatile enough that whatever the apparatus is that's going to work for this project, it's fine. Okay. We'll make that work.
Have you ever been hired for a job where maybe it was for pole? I know I'm going to say it's for pole, where people maybe still weren't on board with pole, where you kind of had to convince. Okay.
Yeah.
I kind of figured
all the
but
time.
Like,
Totally.
You never know.
No. Yeah. I mean, you have to, at some point, you have to accept that, like, saying I'm a pole dancer is like not a bad thing, that like, and people who are going to have a feeling about it are going to have that feeling about it. It's the same thing as there are people when you're like, I'm a dancer, and every dancer has gotten the next question. Stripper? Right? Like everybody's gotten that question. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with girls who work in the clubs. More power to you, baby. You do you. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that choice. But there's some people are going to have connotations attached to things no matter what you choose to do. So at some point, you just have to be like, yeah, pole dancer. Stripper? No, but more power to those ladies. What else? Some of them making a real good living. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like paying their bills. Are they happy? Yep. Are they hurting anybody? Okay, then all is well. Yep. You know what I mean? Like at some point, you just have to be okay with not everybody's going to like your choice. And even if you're a dog walker, somebody somewhere isn't going to like that choice. Okay, stand up and say you're a dog walker, or you're like really going to struggle bus in life. Like at some point you have to be like, yeah, I'm a pole dancer. You want to talk about it? I'd love to talk about it with you. Yeah. You know, and I've got my like stock answers of things to say if I don't really want to get into it and da-da-da-da. But when it really comes down to it, I understand that it has a connotation. I don't necessarily subscribe to that connotation. And I'm happy to have a discussion with somebody about it. And whether I open their mind to a different perspective or not is not really the goal, but I hope we could have a conversation about it. And some people can't. Some people have a very strong opinion about it, and they're not going to change. Okay.
Have you been on a set before where even like the people on set were still like, oh, really? We're doing pole?
Usually not on a set, because by the time you get to set, everybody knows that's part of this project. Like it's usually not a surprise to somebody when the pole comes out, because everybody's at that point like knows that's what's happening, right? So no, but like for example, at Super Bowl, there were, because we're on a network television, like there were a lot of checks and balances we had to be really aware of along the way of like, you know, like Jennifer got a lot of slack for what she was wearing while she was doing pole. Where like she was in a full bodysuit. There was not a teaspoon of skin showing. but all right, like, yes, was it nude sheer in certain places? Totally. But I'm 1,000% sure that like she had her hands free and like her nose, and that was about it. Like she was fully covered. You just had an issue with her doing that thing, right? Like there was nothing she was going to wear or not wear. Well, you want her in a football uniform? It's Jennifer Lopez. Like she had way less clothing on in other parts of the routine, But who cares? What if she didn't? What's the problem?
Yeah.
Right? Like there was nothing on the pole that she did, in my opinion, that was scandalous. But for people that already have the predisposition to know that that thing in their minds is a scandalous thing, it doesn't matter what she's doing on it. It could be there by itself and it's scandalous. But like when we were getting our costumes for Super Bowl, it was like, amount of bum cheek that needed to be covered, amount of like side body that could be shown. Like it was very specific so that the NFL doesn't get fined for airing a Janet Jackson-esque situation, right? Like there were a lot of very specific situations that had to be cross-checked to be A-okay for that event. But we wanted to make sure we were checking all those boxes because it felt really important to myself and my team of people to be able to showcase it on that type of a stage, because there's like nothing more all-American than the Super Bowl. So if you can put pole in the center of the Super Bowl to like a whole bunch of middle American families and showcase it in a way that it looks powerful and strong and artistic and beautiful and all these things that we know that pole can be, it just felt like a win.
Yeah.
And like regardless, we knew somebody wasn't going to like it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, what do you do?
Of course.
Every Super Bowl performance has had somebody who didn't like it.
Oh, yeah.
And pole has happened at the Super Bowl 3 times since then.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I
didn't remember it as much. Oh, really? I mean, it was more supplemental.
Yeah.
Nonetheless. Yeah. That was our hope, is that like if we showcase it. And what I loved about doing it with Jennifer both those times is that it was so different. Like she's literally playing a like veteran stripper in a strip club in her movie, and then she's doing it at the Super Bowl. Like you couldn't have two more different places to put that element. So how can anybody not see that it can be many different things?
Yeah. Amen.
But again, you're not going to change everybody's mind, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But we were really proud of being able to put it on that type of a international platform and have it be showcased in that way, because we're then hopeful that it's making it easier for it to be showcased more often.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Right. Yeah, absolutely. Has there ever been a job that okay, how do I want to phrase this? Have you ever had an experience maybe on a job or just in your career that you were like, oh no, I don't know if I can come back from that?
Yeah, sure. I think we all have. And we do come back from it, which is why then we know the next one, like, even if it feels rough, we'll be all right. But like, do you mean like physically, mentally, emotionally? Like, do you mean like, did I ever have a job where I'm like, this is it, I'm done now?
Like, my brain goes to like, oh, I messed up on the job, whether it was
like I've wrecked my reputation or career at this point. Huh. I hope not.
That's good.
Like, I hope not. I do think that I am strong personality, and I am aware that I am not a wallflower, and I am aware that I'm not everybody's cup of tea. And I'm okay with that, right? Like I had the kind of teachers growing up, bless my dance teachers, that were like, it's better that somebody has some sort of feeling a reaction from you than that they don't know you're there, right? Like if you're, and again, don't hurt anybody, have morals and ethics. But like as long as somebody has a reaction to you, your energy in the room, okay, they know you're there. That's a good thing. Now there's an open door for something more, right? And I do think that I have a very unique personality. I know that I'm loud. I know that I'm silly. I know that I am strange and weird, and that's great. But I do know that that's not everybody's cup of tea, and especially in a business that's so very focused on appearance and look and brand and all of that. Like I don't necessarily always subscribe to doing what the industry maybe would expect or is quote unquote acceptable. Like I'm not really a party person. Like, I'm not really interested after a gig to like go out and get crazy. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it at all, but that's just not my cup of tea anymore. But sometimes when you don't go do those social things, it's really looked down upon because that's a part of the job, is to go get stupid with people afterwards and da-da-da-da. So I do think sometimes when I take myself out of those kind of situations, I go back to my hotel room or I go back home and I think to myself, did I just screw myself out of working with that person again because I didn't go party with them after the job was over?
Okay.
Like, I do have those feelings.
Okay.
Where I'm like, oh, I didn't, they offered me XYZ and I declined because that's not for me. Is that somehow making this relationship that I built over this job feel less amicable because in the social scenario, I've declined something that was offered? If that makes sense in the most politically correct way.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
How have you moved through that thought process?
I'm working on it. I mean, at some point you just have to decide what's right for you. You know what I mean? Like, and everybody's got their own answer to that question. For me, like, I need to go to sleep at night knowing that I made choices that are right for me. And I feel like I'm acutely aware when I make a different choice that I feel worse than had I not made that choice. Like, if I decide to go to this or go to that or take that drink or do whatever, at the end of the night, I'm like, what did I just do? Like, I didn't want to do that, and I knew it. Yeah. I knew that the answer was no. I allowed peer pressure to activate itself on me in that situation, and I bent to it because I was nervous about the result for my career. And so I did something that I wasn't interested in doing, and I didn't hurt anybody, however, I knew I didn't want to do that thing, but I was pressured into doing something. And so, And then at some point you just have to be like, if they don't want to work with me because I don't do XYZ, are they really the people that I should be spending my time and energy with?
Amen.
No.
Amen.
If they value what I bring to the table and they value my skill set and they value what I offer the job, and I'm a nice, kind person and I'm here to do what's being asked, anything above and beyond that is none of their or my business. And if they want to hire people who they'd rather party with and do a good job with, that's their prerogative. I'm not interested in that job, and I'm okay with that. But I have to be okay with that.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard to be okay with that because then you think to yourself, well, am I going to get a job again? Like, is that it? Are they going to tell their friends I'm no fun?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you do have those revolving door thoughts in your head that, like, what is the chatter that will happen between people when I'm not in the room if I choose to go home to my hotel now?
Yeah.
Instead of stay with the group.
Yeah.
I don't know. At some point, you just got to make the right choices for yourself, and whatever you're feeling in the moment is the right choice, and then be okay with the results. Yep.
When you first started working as a professional, did you ever think you'd end up here where you're at today? Not like here in this room doing this podcast, but like like doing the jobs you are now.
I mean, acrobatics was not on my radar at all. Dance as a profession was, but where, like, the town I came from, I only knew one other person that had ever graduated from high school and had gone on to do anything in the dance industry. But as soon as she did it, I was like, oh, it's possible. Like, you can do this for a living. Great. So when she was like, I think 2 or 3 years older than me, and she had graduated and moved out to LA, done a scholarship program, and then ended up dancing for Jessica Simpson, which at the time was like, she was a pop star before she made shoes. And like, I was like, oh my God, she's dancing for Jessica Simpson? Like, this is the gold standard. Like, whoa, so cool. And I idolized her, Jessie Rice. And so once I knew that, like, that was a thing, then like, maybe naively, because I had not been out of my hometown all that often, and I only knew one person who had ever done this, I thought I can dance and make a living. Like, this is a career. And like, I didn't go past that, which I don't know, good or bad. Like, I didn't define it more clearly than, oh, I can dance for a living. Like, this is a job. This is a job, not a hobby, if I want it to be. So after that point, I didn't actually care what form it took. Like, I don't care how I'm dancing as long as I'm dancing and paying my bills. I don't care if it's a cruise ship. I don't care if it's convention. I don't care if it's teaching. I don't care if it's da-da-da. Like, as long as I'm dancing and paying my bills, great. And like some people hit it right away when they move out. Lots of people have to grind at it for a long time to get started. I ground at it. That feels weird. Ground at it. I was grounding. Like, I don't know what the past tense of I was grinding at it.
Yeah.
Maybe that?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay. So I ground at it for for a while before like I was working enough where I wasn't working anything else. But my side jobs were always teaching dance or judging or like working for a competition in some capacity, or I had an accident and I wasn't mobile for a really long time. So I worked in the office of a dance competition. Like anything that kept me connected to the world for me was still I'm dancing and I'm paying my bills. Like anything that was part of that world counted for me. So maybe good or bad, because I didn't like hyper focus to find it as one thing. I was just like, I want to dance and pay my bills. That's it. As long as I was doing that, as long as I'm still doing that, we're good. And I had always liked choreographing. Like I was the kid in my basement, like putting numbers together and forcing my parents to watch. Like 100% every Hanukkah was like, watch the dance Johanna put together. And so I was always choreographing things. And I when I was teaching, even at my home studio, I was choreographing solos for my friends and stuff like that, right? There was no social media, so I wasn't putting 45 seconds online, but I was putting movement together before I even graduated high school. And so I think I always wanted to be doing that. I always loved choreographing movement. So I think that was like a natural progression for me. And when you're teaching dance, obviously you're putting movement together in some capacity. So I had a lot of good like trial and error periods of working in the studio and figuring out how to put movement together that felt right on my body. And then I was lucky enough to assist teachers or choreographers who worked in very different ways. So I saw different methods of how to create stuff and got to kind of develop what worked out for me best. So I think it progressed naturally for me from it as a career to pay my bills to where I am now. But like, was I sitting in Minnesota being like, in 20 years, I'm going to choreograph for the Super Bowl doing pole acrobatics?
Yeah.
Like, there's no crystal ball on the planet that would have gotten me that. No way. But am I dancing and paying my bills still? Yes. So in that capacity, because that was my thought, yes. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it makes sense. Okay, I think I have 2 more questions, but we'll see.
Okay.
The big one I ask everybody, what is your funniest story as a performer?
I mean, there's a lot of them. This one we'll say was like cringeworthy and I can laugh about it now. This would also qualify for the like, oh my God, I think it's over. Because, okay, so when we were doing Hustlers, when we were working on Hustlers, we worked a lot in Jennifer's different like home locations depending on where she was for whatever project she was on, because we did a bunch of training with Paul before we got to actual movie shooting days. And when we got to the point where she'd learned enough that, okay, now we're going to choreograph the scene, like she had to learn the skill set enough first.
Oh, of course.
And then now we're choreographing the scene, right? So we got to that point and we were putting some movement together and she wanted to kind of like vibe out and feel it out. We were trying to pick a song, da-da-da. And she goes, oh, put on blah, blah, blah. And I'm like searching through iTunes for it. I can't find it. She's like, yeah, just, put in blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, who's that by? She goes, Jennifer Lopez. And I was like, it must be a B-side. Ooh. I was like, oh, found it. I didn't know. Yeah. So I had to ask her who sang her song to her in her house. So that made me feel really good. And I was like, that's it. I'm not coming back tomorrow. Like, I've worked on this project for like 3 months, but like today was my last day and it was a good run. What do you do?
Yeah. You're like, you know what? Thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah.
I'm going to see myself
I was
out
like,
now.
I want to be like, so how do you spell that? No, so like, and it was fine. Like, it was fine. It rolled past. She doesn't remember it, I am sure. But oh my God, like talk about foot in mouth. What Who sings that? Oh, you? So sorry. It's not in my playlist. Like, what? Bad.
You don't know the entire discography of Jennifer Lopez?
You know what? I do now. I mean, but trust me if I tell you, you don't have that song on your playlist either. She's got a lot of bangers, but this wasn't one of them. This was like a B-side that I'm like, I've never even heard of that song. I don't know. Whatever. Anyways, but I was mortified. But in the moment, you just have to play it off and be like, oh, okay. Found it. And then off we went. And then like the whole rest of the day, I'm just like,
yeah, you're shaking.
And like, it was fine. We rolled past it. She was a sport about it. It all worked out. But like, and it's funny now, but the moment.
Yeah. In the moment.
Mortifying.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. My performing career is now over.
Yeah. I was literally like, I'm not coming back tomorrow. This is it. And we had worked so long on the project at that point that I was still like, she's going to find somebody else. Like, I'm done. She'll think she can do it herself at this point. Like, it's done. I'm done. Yeah. But I wasn't done. We finished the project and then I came back for Super Bowl. Yeah. So it was fine. But in the moment, I was like, I could have done better here. I could have done better. Yeah.
Did she ever say anything about it?
No.
No, I was just curious.
We blew past it and like, and for me, it was like, okay, put the music on. Let's get working.
Yeah. No. 100%.
Because like, let's pass this moment. We cannot sit in this moment.
New scene.
Yes. Let's move past this moment into something positive. Yeah, and I'm sure she doesn't think about it at all, but I will remember it forever. I know where I was sitting in the room. I know what I was wearing. Like, I remember that moment. Oh, my God. Ugh, no bueno. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then because you also started that story with saying this was also one of the moments.
Yeah.
I was like, this is over.
Yeah.
Because I was going to ask, so maybe aside from that, has there ever been another, I'm going to double down on the question.
Okay.
Has there ever been another moment or time where you were like, you know what, I think I'm going to be done with performing?
With performing?
Or dance or anything?
Jobs can get really hard, especially production jobs when you're on that side of things. They can get really hard and the hours can be super long. Like there are the job that I just finished, like when I say like, 16-hour days, no days off. And people are like, ha ha ha. And I'm like, no. From like time I left hotel to time I returned to hotel, 16-hour days repeatedly over and over again I had 1 or 2 days off, maybe the entire 6 weeks. Like it just is, right? And sometimes you get to like the end game of those jobs and you're like, I don't know, man. Like I'm drained. I'm exhausted. Like I need some sort of a change because I can't burn myself this hard all the time. Like at some point I have to re-nourish in the other direction because all I'm doing is this. And I feel like a shriveled version of myself. Like, is it worth it? Am I doing what I want to be doing? Is this the goal? Like, blah, blah, blah. And like, I think going back to that moment I had in LA where I was like, oh my God, I have to make a change because this doesn't feel like what I want to feel like. So it's just trying to check back in after those really difficult jobs are over. And I have those thoughts of like, oh my God, I can't do this again. Like, this is too hard. Like physically, mentally, emotionally, this is too hard. Like, am I happy with this? Like the work's good. I'm getting good accolades for it. Everybody seems happy with the product. Okay, but check back in. Am I happy? Not with the product. I'm happy with the product. But like, am I happy? I definitely have those moments. And so then, yes, like I owe it to myself and my husband and my family to really ask those questions at this point, because right now the answer is still yes, but I'm not remiss enough to want to check back in enough to know that like, if the answer is ever no, that's okay. That it doesn't mean I'm failing or I'm giving up or whatever that is. But like maybe priorities will shift in a way where the answer may not be yes. And if it's not, it doesn't mean I'm leaving it forever. But maybe I need to make a change to figure out what does feel right and that's okay, which is very hard for me to wrap my brain around. But yeah, there are definitely moments on jobs where I'm like, I am not strong enough for this. This is crazy. Like, this is crazy. This is insane. Like, they're asking for something that's not possible, and I magically have to make it happen. And I don't know how we're going to do that. And then you do.
And you do.
And then you do, because we're all little Harry Potters. Like, we are all little magicians, the way we pull things out of our bums. Like, you make it happen, but you do think to yourself, like, I can't believe all that we just went through.
If there was a book I wanted to write, it would just be a book about all the jobs and situations that they asked us to do, and then how it's not going to happen, and yet how we made it happen.
Yeah.
All of them. I think we could write novels.
Oh, like our own little reality shows, all of us.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you want 36 dancers to fit on an 8-foot stage?
Yeah.
Cool.
How many standing on each other's shoulders?
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, great.
Okay, just give us another hour.
Yeah,
we'll make it happen.
No problem. I mean, there was even Super Bowl. So obviously Super Bowl, it's for the live audience in front of you, but it's not. It's for camera. Really, it's for camera, right? And it's live in the effect that, like, you get one shot at it. You're not going to shoot it again. It's one and done. It's got to be right or it's not right. And with acrobatics, any acrobat knows that, like, you have to hit the top of the trick or the apex of the trick at the right time, because we have all been photographed. The freaking Cirque du Soleil program for Michael Jackson 1 for the longest time had me, like, on the way to a split. I'm like, oh, why? It's so much nicer than that. Why was that the picture? But anyways, like, we all know that, like, if you're not in the apex of the shape at the right count or the right moment, when the camera drops by you at that second, it's as if you didn't do it. It's as if you didn't do it. So we had gotten all the camera shots. We'd been working on Super Bowl for months at that point. We'd gotten all the camera shots nailed down. Me and my team, I was super lucky enough to literally be able to pick my team of girls. Like, they were incredible girls. They are incredible girls. But, like, incredibly skilled, but also, like, the mental strength to just handle shit. Like, they just can handle shit, which was what I needed, because I knew, and working with Jennifer and working on camera, like, things are going to change constantly, right? So we had worked it. We'd done so many different versions. We knew every camera shot. We knew who was in what shot at what count, blah, blah, blah. And the holding room we were in our dressing room, it had a pole in the corner by the garbage can, just enough space that, like, we could touch it, but we couldn't actually get on it. We have videos of ourselves, like, trying to do pole on it and not kick anything around us as, like, a joke. Like, it wasn't really for anything. But we had worked it all out, and then right before we were about to, like, walk out on the field, like, it's go time. We've done all of our rehearsals, on the field rehearsals, everything. They come to us and they're like, so the camera shots have changed. Here's the new camera shots. And they were just different enough that it's like, oh, none of our shit is going to be on camera. Like, we are now catching the entrances and the exits to everything. So it was like, okay, tell me what they are. They gave me that information. I got my little girls in the corner next to the trash can. And I was like, okay, ladies, let's talk through this together. Here's the thing. Like, you were hitting this on 5, you have to hit it on 7. If you don't hit it on 7, they're not going to see it. And it's just 7. Like, the camera's on you on 7, not 7 and it's on you on 7. That's it. So that trick that you were doing on 5 is now on 7. This trick for both of us is now on 3. We went through the whole thing. We talked about it. There's no time to practice it. That corner by the garbage can with one pole was not it. We all were like, okay, everybody get it? Everyone understand what's about to happen? Great. And then we went. And that was it.
I have to put the link, like the YouTube video link to the Super Bowl in the description now.
And, like, then I'll send you to a video of us in the corner by the trash can. Like, it's so hilarious. But those were the kind of, like, personalities that I needed on that job, because they fucking nailed it.
Yeah,
like,
and you can't ask questions.
They were
you just gotta do it.
Incredible. And, like, what are you gonna do? Panic?
Yeah.
Like, what are you gonna do? Panic? No, it's the Super Bowl, and this is our time to show up and show out and show that we're good at what we do, not just at pole dance, but we are professionals that can handle anything. Because you also didn't have a crawl at the bottom of the screen being like, everything was changed for them 30 seconds ago. Like, nobody knows.
Yeah, no one cares.
No one cares. Yeah. It either looks good or it doesn't look good. That's it. That's all anybody knows. They don't know that it was the most challenging thing you've ever had to ask your team of people to do. They just know what they see. So it's like, we don't get to explain that we just had to change everything. We just have to do it. Everybody okay? Yes? Okay, go.
Yeah.
And so then when people, like, get salty about, why'd you pick this person? Why'd you pick that person? This, that, and the other. And I'm like, because I needed girls I could, like, rock with. I needed girls that were going to handle situations like that, not the girl that could do the best trick. And they're all super incredibly skilled polers. Like, they deserve to be there, 100%. there's lots of good polers in the world. There's lots of good dancers in the world. But like you need the people in those situations that are just going to stay calm and then can pony up and do it.
Mm-hmm.
That can then change something they've rehearsed for 3 months on count 5 and now do it on 7 and not ask questions. Just do it.
Mm-hmm.
Go.
Yep.
Yep.
You need to have a strong pivot.
Yeah. So go take Helene Phillips' class and work on your pivot turns.
Yes, and your reach.
Yeah. Yep. Because she can pivot like a mofo.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. With the fluff hair, living.
Ugh. Such a legend.
Totally.
I love it. Okay, I lied. I do have one more question before we probably end, I feel like. But honestly, who knows? I keep saying that and more keep popping to my head. Out of all your experience, what has been the most surprising thing you've learned along your journey?
Wow. The most surprising thing?
Mm-hmm. Anything. It doesn't have to be like big mindsets. It can be like tiny logistical things.
Maybe it's not surprising, but it took me a long time to learn. Does that count?
Yeah.
Okay. I think what took me a long time to learn, because I have a lot of energy and I tend to be a powerful mover, is it took me forever to learn that small movements are powerful movements if you want them to be. Like gentle movements have value, gestural movements that make you lean in, where you're not like dripping with sweat when you're done, but like you're being subtle with your choices, have just as much value as giant big movements or super overly energetic movements. I mean, I have pictures of me as like a young dancer where like, if only my arm was straighter than the arm next to me, like I was doing a better job, right? Or like if I didn't walk out of a dance class absolutely soaked, like I didn't kill it or I didn't slay or whatever, right? But like recognizing now that something small, something gestural, something quiet has an equal value to something large has taken me a long time, because it's a different feeling. Like I had this notion my whole life that it the harder you worked physically, the better the result. And so if something felt small or easy, then did it have the same value as something that made me sweat or sore or whatever? I didn't think so. And then recognizing, as I hopefully am becoming a better storyteller and a better, more well-rounded artist, like those little gestures, those little subtleties, those little choices are so interesting and can really separate. I literally was just teaching a workshop the other day that like the difference between good and great is transitions and small details, because at some point everybody can do big tricks. They're great, good job, but that the art is in the transitions and the small details. Surprise.
Amen. I love that. Well, is there anything else you would like to leave our listeners with today?
Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome.
It's really nice to see you doing this and here in your space and being like a fully fledged like adult person in the world is just so fun. So good job, you.
Oh, thanks. It's so nice to see you and have you here. I'm so excited this worked out.
I know. I told you I'm chatty. I was like, look out. I'm going to talk a lot.
I love it. And you're busy. And I was like, oh, I don't know if she's even in town, but I'll send her a message.
I am today at least. So it worked out.
Oh, I love it. And I'll put, if people want to follow you or connect with you, I'll put that in the description box.
Yes.
And thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. That's great. Hey.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Before the Curtain. Please be sure to rate, review, and subscribe wherever it is you listen to the podcast. We love to hear your virtual round of applause. If you know of a production or artist that deserves to have their story told, send us an email or message us on Instagram by clicking the link in the description.